Hello and welcome back to Transfer Central, your weekly transfer show by the LFC Transfer Room. Today I'm joined by Matty, Louis and Jay as we discuss this week's transfer rumours regarding Liverpool. We've got the likes of Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, who else? Loads of the big names, but lads, I'll start with you, Matty. How are you doing today? Missed out on semi-final tickets today, so it's all news for you already.
Yeah, I'm devastated, to be honest with you. I didn't get one in the ballot anyway, so I was already fuming. Then, but my ticket number's one off the resale of the ballot, so I'm fuming. But other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, Louis, good result yesterday. There's we didn't have you on the show, but you did the watch along. Happy with yesterday's result against Benfica?
I think so. Yeah, it was 5-10 minutes of madness at the start of the second half that just detracted from what otherwise was pretty much a perfect Champions League night. I think. I mean, Konate made the mistake that ultimately led to the goal, but apart from that, he was, along with many others, he was fantastic to watch. So, I'm not too bothered overall. Luis Diaz getting that goal towards the end just kind of put a bit of shine on it again. So yeah, very positive overall.
Yeah, and Jay, we're going to be discussing them this in this video a bit later on. Got to leave. Can't give you the main title news straight away. But Erling Haaland has been rumours that Klopp has busted. You seem happy about that on Twitter?
Yeah, mate, I'm sick of reading about Mbappe and Haaland, and 9 times out of 10 it's out the echo, which annoys me even more. So yeah, mate, I'm glad we can just put it to bed. I wish he'd have said Haaland and Mbappe, so we can put that to bed as well, but sadly the off will probably still be made up thinking he's coming.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this up one more time for you, Matty. Billy Bob Shankly, a good friend of yours.
Robbed. Absolutely robbed on that quiz.
If you haven't watched it, you can. You don't want to watch an hour. Just go to like 50 minutes and watch from there. It's funny to say the least. But we'll get into the first story of today, which is Lautaro Martinez. Inter are considering selling him if a big offer comes in, and Liverpool are one of the clubs that are interested in him. He's only 24 years old. He did score against us. Would he be a good fit for this side, Matty? He's in that age range, isn't he, that we like?
I don't think so. To be honest, I've only seen the 2 games against Inter Milan that we've played this year, and I really wasn't impressed with Martinez. And I just look at our attacking options now, and is he better than any of them? And he probably isn't, in my opinion. So I'd much rather tie down like the whole Bobby Mane and Salah to new deals than go and get someone like Lautaro Martinez. I mean, everyone will be sat there going, "Oh, I want Martinez because he just won a new transfer." But realistically, could he bring? He plays down the middle, so he's going to be playing in ultimately Bobby's position. Can he bring to the Liverpool side what Roberto Firmino does? And I just don't think he can.
Louis, do you agree with that? He didn't really have the best 2 games against Liverpool. He did score an absolute rocket, but that's all really that we saw from him, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's difficult in that Inter side against a side at Liverpool with the football they play and the difference in the teams overall. So maybe that's a bit harsh, but at the same time, maybe it's a good insight into the difference in quality just in the Premier League in general compared to Serie A. He's never. It's always felt a little bit far out, the rumours with him. I've never really given it much thought, to be honest. I don't think it's particularly a position that we need to be looking at this summer, maybe in a year or two, but not anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah, Jay. I mean, we know that Klopp likes to play with, his wingers up front. He hasn't had an out and out striker for a few years now. Jota's sort of morphed into that role from the wing. Do you think he could offer us something different up front, that we don't have at the moment?
Martinez is a good player, mate. I've seen him a few times, and I wouldn't go off the games we played him against in the Champions League, because you could say that about Diaz. He didn't do anything in the games he played against us, to be fair. He's a good player, and yeah, he is different to what we've got, but for the price you're probably going to end up paying, there's probably better options out there. Like Rafinha's meant to only be 25. I think in Kunku, the asking price is like 40, weirdly. And from what I've heard, Martinez is signing a new deal at Inter anyway, so I'm not too sure where the rumours have come from. I just think they're waiting to announce it.
Yeah, I think it was the rumors have come from like a freelance Italian journalist, but I mean we have been linked with him before. But you know, Matty, you said this. You said you wouldn't take him out of all of our forwards. Lancia said that he thinks he's better than Bobby. You know, would you, as Jay said there, the price you're probably looking at is going to be 60 million plus for him, considering what they got Lukaku for. You know, it's just it doesn't seem worth it, even if he is better than Bobby, does it?
This Bobby Firmino hate that so many of our fan base say about him drives me insane. Roberto Firmino, if Liverpool win a Champions League final tomorrow, Jurgen Klopp starts Bobby. I'm so confident on that. What he does for that team, he's not a striker. He's not going to get goals and assists. His whole job is to pull players out of position. The whole reason that Mo Salah is getting all these numbers is because Bobby's doing his job so well when he's playing with him. Mo Salah's fantastic at what he does, but what Bobby does is adding to the wingers being able to get this goal return because he's dragging them centre half out of position. No one can handle him. And someone done a quote, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Crouch or something saying,
it was Crouch.
Yeah, if you watch Bobby, you see the game, and it's so true. If you go to the ground and watch Bobby, you watch the whole game, his movement, what he does on the ball. He's absolutely fantastic. And for me, he's one of the most important players to this Liverpool side. Yeah, he may not play every week, but every time he does play, he just adds that different dynamic. Like when we play City on Sunday, I would start Bobby Firmino purely for his pressing and his work rate in that game.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think, you know, I've started to get phased out to the side a bit more now, you know, with injuries and the quality we have up front. But I don't think I'd be signing Lautaro Martinez just to replace him. I think we could do a lot better than him anyway. Next story, though, a bit of a big one. Serge Gnabry is at the moment not finding a solution with Bayern Munich for a new contract. Runs out in 2023, same as Mo Salah's contract. And Goal, fairly reliable, have reported that Liverpool are considering signing him. They're interested in him with Real Madrid. But it is to replace Mohamed Salah, Jay. Do you think it's he does play on the right. He's got a fair few goals for Bayern Munich, and you know, maybe even though he was at West Brom one time, he has turned into a world-class winger out there.
Yeah, he's boss. He's still a good age as well, but you know, to say to replace Salah, they're two big boots to fill for him. I think good player, Gnabry, like he is really good, and he surprised me how well he's done at Bayern Munich. Because, like you say, he was at West Brom, obviously only on loan from Arsenal, but 3 seasons ago, he was turning it up for Munich. But again, mate, I think there's better options than Gnabry out there, to be honest.
Who would you go for? You know, if you said there's better options, you know, there's not many world-class right wingers, is there, out there? Like when you're really looking at it. No, let's say we're directly replacing Salah here. You know, as you said, Rafinha, but he's not going to produce the numbers that Salah is. You know, I think Gnabry, he comes in and he does a better job than a lot of players we've been linked with.
He does, yeah, and it depends if players are available. I just personally, there's players I'd favour over him because I don't think many players, if any, are going to hit Salah's numbers. But like I think Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, Chiesa, I love at Juventus. He cost astronomical money, but if we sell Salah, then we're going to get astronomical money, I'd imagine. So them two be eye on my list for replacements. And believe it or not, I like Danjuma at Villarreal. We don't sign superstars, we make them. And he's gone to La Liga and been brilliant at Villarreal. He's got experience of playing in England, not the Premier League, but he's used to the physicality. So I prefer them and Nkunku, to be honest, mate. I think they're better suited.
Louis, do you agree with what Jay's saying there, or do you think he would be, you know, one of the better options to replace Salah? I mean, he can play on the left and up front as well, something that we do know that the Liverpool scouting team like.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's spot on as well what he said at the start. Like, well, what you said, Charlie, we're not going to find someone who can replace him. That is the con of having, a world-class player, is it's pretty much impossible to replace them. Same goes for like Trent. When, in 10 years' time, when he's in his 30s and has to go, we're not going to find a direct replacement for him. It's just about sort of filling in the holes as best you can, I guess. So Gnabry, I would take him, definitely. I don't know what the fees around him would be. Are we talking like 30, 40 million? Or
I think you're probably looking at Salah, what you'd be paying Salah, maybe a bit less. I think even though it's only a year left, you're probably looking at around 80 million, potentially.
Right, okay. That changes things a lot. Yeah, I don't think so. I'd happily keep going down the Jota, the Diaz route, finding players in that sweet spot who've got another level to go to, and are just kind of stars in waiting as opposed to already stars.
Matty, he's 26 years old, only a year older than when Salah came in. He has experience in the Premier League, albeit not the best experience with West Brom and Arsenal, but experience nonetheless. And, when you're considering it might become a straight swap for Salah and Gnabry, let's say Salah leaves and then Gnabry comes straight in, we could do a lot worse, couldn't we?
I think we could do a lot better, though, to be honest, if we're talking 80 mil. The thing with what I'd look at is most Salahs, no one expect them to have these numbers at Liverpool, and I think it's very much down to the system and the way that we play as well. So do I think Salah could replicate these numbers on another side? I'm not too sure, to be honest. He's world class, but everything goes through Salah. So if you was to bring somebody else in, you'd say, yeah, they aren't going to have, say, numbers like Salah for the past so many years, but then when they come into this side and they work with Klopp, work with that team, they then could replicate them numbers. So if you're talking 80 million for him, I would rather go and pay 25, 30 and get Rafinha, because I do believe that he could develop into that Salah-esque player with our coaching team. But I think it's just all he say, because I'm still 100% confident that Mo Salah stays.
All right, let me put a question to you then, Matthew. Let's just cancel out the whole transfer, the amount of money that we're going to pay for him. Let's say Salah leaves at the end of his contract, joins a Barcelona, somebody like that. Serge Gnabry also leaves. Would you, you get Serge Gnabry on a free, and you're probably going to be paying him less than what Salah's on now. That's a decent deal, that, for a 26, 27-year-old.
Yeah, if you're getting him for free, then I'd take him. But if you're talking like 80, 90 million, I think that you could probably maybe test Juventus's hand with Chiesa for that amount of money. So then that's a whole different ball game, because I think he's levels above Gnabry. So it's all about fees. I mean, if we go and spend 80 million on Gnabry, I wouldn't be happy, really, to be honest with you, because there is well better options out there, I do think, for that price mark range. I think he's a good player, but we've seen time and time again players. Look at Iago Aspas, awful at us. He's well beaten in Spain. So it's how good can he? Gnabry was awful in the Prem. Yeah, he was with West Brom, but can he come back and be good in the Prem? We've the German league's nowhere near the quality of the Premier League, and we've seen it with so many players move abroad. And Luis Alberto, another one, he's Lazio's best player. He's shocking at us. So it's just, what can he come and do it in the Prem, because he hasn't done it before? Yeah, he was younger. Or could he be like a Salah who comes back for vengeance and is world class? I guess you'd never know. But if you're getting him for 20, 30 mil, I'd say yeah. But for 80 million, there's better options than that out there, I think.
You said that they're getting beat 1-0, sorry.
Oh, we
Just
love
let you
that.
know.
Yeah.
It happened about 5 minutes ago, and I've been holding my tongue while you've been speaking. But yeah, it's 1-0 to Burnley.
Keep us updated on that.
I will do, mate, corner.
Jay, though, it's... you seem to be on the Chiesa train over Gnabry, but as Matty did say there, players do go to different leagues and they become great players. But he's been doing it in the Champions League. Did he score 4 against Spurs?
He said London's red after it, didn't he, or something?
Yeah, so and I'm pretty sure I did a piece on him. I think he's got 101 goal contributions in 163 games for Bayern Munich, and he's got 20 goals in 31 games for Germany. They're impressive numbers, aren't they? We can't be sniffing up at that. And I think if you his age as well. I mean, anyone come in and disagree with me, but I think at his age, with Klopp's system, he can play in across the whole front three. I think if you're giving me a straight swap for Salah, I wouldn't take it, but I'd be very tempted to, considering the age range, and the sheer amount of goals that he scored. But
I wouldn't swap him for Salah if it was coming like on a free. Listen, I don't dislike Gnabry. He is a good player. But if he was like our marquee signing and we're going to put 80 million on him, I just wouldn't pick him to spend that type of money on. Bear in mind, we got Van Dijk for 75. Like, do you know what? 80 millions. It's going to be our record transfer. So on Serge Gnabry, no, I like him, but nah, not 80 millions, and I wouldn't be doing swaps for what people argue is the best player in the world in Salah, because I think if you're going to swap Salah, you could go to a number of clubs across Europe and poach one of the best players for him, because that's how big his flock is at the minute for Salah. And I think if you're going to do that, you'd have to go for Chiesa. Might just be my bias, but I think he's brilliant myself.
Yeah, Louis, you seem to, some thoughts going on there. What are your thoughts on Chiesa ahead of Gnabry?
DJ's made a point that he's done his ACL, so that's always something to take into account as well. Yeah, if we're talking between those two, I'd go for Chiesa every day. But if we're talking straight swap, no money involved, and it was Gnabry for Salah, I think I'd have to take it. It wouldn't be my first choice, but if that's what you're putting in front of me in that scenario, I think I would take it. Because we've talked, whenever the Salah contract comes up, we always talk about, like, if he doesn't sign and we have to sell him, who would be able to buy him? And if not, we'd have to cut down our price for him massively. So the age does become quite important, and the context surrounding it. So for me, getting someone 6-7 years younger who does have impressive stats in the Bundesliga, I think that's, as you said, Charlie, that's not something to be sniffed at necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Real Madrid are the other club interested in him as well. So it's this story is obviously ongoing, and Bayern Munich are trying the hardest to get him to sign. So I think he'll personally re-sign with Bayern Munich. I think he likes it there and he's happy, with his home country as well. But moving on to sort of next section, there's been a report by David Maddock. A few years ago, he was extremely reliable regarding Liverpool news. In the past few years, he sort of fell off massively, to say the least. He's a bit unreliable, but we move. He seems like a nice guy, rides bikes and stuff. But he's come out and said that Mohamed Salah has rejected a £400,000 per week contract offer from Liverpool.
I thought that's what he was after.
I think the whole story that he's it's bullshit. If we offered him didn't Salah want 420, but we'll go down to 400.
Yeah. So what I originally heard was that we offered 280 with going up to 300k, and they wanted 425 going down to like 400 max. Now the story doesn't say if that's including bonuses or not. So let's just take it as it is and say that he's declined £400,000 a week, Jay. Surely you've got to move him on. You can't be giving into for any more than 400k a week. I think 400k a week is a massive stretch, but to even consider paying him more than that would not just destroy the wage budget, or not the wage structure, it, demolish any future big player coming in. We wouldn't be able to financially afford it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be giving him more than 400 grand. I even think 400 grand's high, to be honest. I think 350 with bonuses maybe, but nah. If he said no to 400 grand a month more, I'd say see you later then. To that. It's a joke, mate. Like, you're talking 2 million a month nearly. Nah. Soz. No.
Louis, I mean, we've sort of established that this story is probably not true, but let's take it with a pinch of salt and just assume that David Maddock is right and that he has declined 400k a week. Do you think that's too much to offer Salah? You know, as Jay said, there's been a lot. I think the consensus from a lot of reasonable fans is 350 grand seems the cutoff for a lot of people. You know, is that where you're sort of sitting at with how much you'd offer Salah?
Yeah, it's such a horrible conversation to have because you just hope it's not true. Like you just want to believe when he comes out and says that he loves the club and wants to be in the city and everything. You just hope that that's what's actually going on. Yeah, no, I agree completely because it's not just about Salah's contract; it's everything that would happen afterwards, the knock-on effect. So the likes of your Van Dijks, your Trents, Caters, Fabinho's, they'd come knocking very soon after whenever their contracts are up for negotiation. Players like Gnabry, Rafinha, when they try and come along. When we sign these new players like Diaz and Jota, what are they on? Like low 100Ks, do we reckon?
Yeah,
Their
probably
first, or
between
just
like
under?
yeah,
They're doing
100
all
to
right.
150k.
No,
Yeah.
they're doing fine. But like we've got like a structure in place. Like it's almost been the same throughout FSG's tenure. Like the player comes in at around about 100k a week if they're a first teamer, and then their next contract can be high 100k, just below 200 probably, and then maybe you're looking at a lifetime contract or whatever. If we then give Salah 350, 400k a year, the next players that we sign are going to look at that, and it'll just be that much harder to get the kind of players that we want on the deals that we're getting presently. Like if that happens with Salah, we can kiss goodbye to the likes of Diaz and Jota type players who've come in and made massive impacts for quite low fees.
Yeah, Matty. I mean, if we're offering 400k for Salah, why not just go and get Mbappe or any other world class player who's going to be wanting that type of wage? Why limit ourselves to 400 grand a week? And if he's rejecting that,
exactly, exactly that. Like, I think with Mohamed Salah though, I'm so confident that he stays, and I think it'll probably be around the 350 grand mark. But if you think about Salah, he is obsessed with breaking records. Obsessed. He wants to retire as Liverpool's greatest ever goal scorer. You can just tell he's that type of person, and like he loves the city. He's never had love like this. It's his best he's ever been in his career at Liverpool. So I do think he stays. Would I pay him 400 grand a week? I probably would, just because the way football's going these days, the level of player that Mo Salah is, he's probably in that 400 grand wage bracket when you look at your likes of your De Bruyne's and stuff. But obviously Liverpool don't operate that model, and we never will. So this is where the frustration with FSG comes in with me, really, because Liverpool, for once, have got one of the best players in the world, and we're arguing over money with them. Like, this is where Liverpool should now be a certain dominance for years to come and tying your best players down. But I don't think we'll pay him 400 grand, but I do think he'll stay. And if it's not my money, I'd pay them all 400 grand a week, to be honest with you. They all deserve it. They've given us the Premier League, so...
How much does age come into it? Like, if he was 5 years younger and like had the same stats for the previous 3 or 4 years, and we were in the same situation, but he was 25, 26, would we be more on Salah's side, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because of the longevity of it.
I think a
Only
lot of
problem
people.
with that is though, Libby, his next contract on top of that. Then you know what I mean. By the time he turns 29, 30, if he was still hitting them numbers and you're on 400, now what are you going to be on after that?
Yeah, I mean,
you're talking. Go on, sorry, Sal.
I think age is a massive factor that a lot of people are overlooking, honestly. Different players hit the peaks at different, stages in the career, and we can't see the future, unfortunately. So how do we not know that Salah hasn't hit his peak now? He's going through a rough patch at the moment, but Sadio Mane was going through a rough patch a few years ago. He's still in that rough patch now. He's this season he's picked it back up again, but he's nowhere near what he was before. The rough patch that he was. Salah has all the qualities to be a world class player for years and years to come. You can tell he looks after his body. You can tell that he's doing everything that he needs to do to maintain this level of dominance. But you can't see the future, at the end of the day. You look at the likes of Florian Wirtz, Chiesa, they've both done their ACL and they're both out for like a year now. What's to say that doesn't happen? And we can't be banking on that, obviously. But it's something to take in his age. If he does do his ACL, then that could come back a player, a shadow of himself. And, we saw it with Van Dijk. It's a bit different because I think, a defender is a lot less requirement on him. But you do your ACL, you have a major injury, then as a forward player, you sort of, it is like a reset all of a sudden. But I think 350 grand's the absolute max I'd go, and I think if he's refusing to go to that, I think I'd sell him and get someone.
Don't you think with that fella from Egypt, though, basically confirmed Salah's staying at Liverpool's all but confirmed it anyway?
The other thing is as well, I don't think you can go into contract negotiations with what ifs, because if you go off Salah's track record, he's never injured. And if you say, not you, Charles, I'm saying if you go to the table and saying, what if your ACL goes? Well, are you going to sign anyone ever again? What if their ACL goes? You know what I mean? Where'd you draw the line with a statement like that? If your injury record's unbelievable, to be fair, I don't even think he's missed double figures since we signed him. He's been here 5-6 years. It's ridiculous.
I don't think he's even missed more than 5, to be honest.
I mean, that's what I mean. I'm being generous. Like saying not even double figures, that's fucking insane. 5-6 years, it's incredible, especially with a pacey player, because they tend to have problems with their hamstrings. So, I don't think that's something you'd go into negotiations with. I know where you're coming from, but I don't think it's something you could say to someone with Salah's track record.
Yeah, I think more of the Mane thing, it's a player can drop off suddenly and that's the level that they're at. We know that they have more to offer, but just players hit peaks at different times. So it is what it is. But talking about crazy money, Kylian Mbappe, we've got 2 crazy money stories coming up. We'll go with one that hasn't been reported as crazier than the other one. Kylian Mbappe, obviously, been on the cusp of signing a pre-contract with Real Madrid for what seems about 3 years now. There was rumours that Barcelona were interested in him. Barcelona officials come out like they like to do and shut that down instantly. But some French journalists from La Gazzetta dello Sport said that 2 new clubs have moved in for Kylian Mbappe, and it could either be Manchester City or Liverpool. Why not? What? Don't give us the name. Just say it's either or. The suspense. We like that. But Matty, we've been round and round and round with Kylian Mbappe. It doesn't seem like it's going to be happen, but they always have us on that. We're always on the hook, aren't we? What if it happens? Be nice, wouldn't it?
If it happens, then it'd be mouthwatering, really. He's world class. He's generational, really, and it'd be fantastic. But if we're arguing over 50 grand with Salah, we're not going to come and pay Mbappe 800 grand a week. So it just rules it out completely. I think it's probably an agent play to try and get Real Madrid to maybe give him a bit more money or sign the dotted line quicker or whatever. But there's been a few reports in the past few days about him even staying at PSG, which would be quite interesting. I think with Mbappe, he's just physically too much money. And the downside to Mbappe is you're trying to get him from a club who's probably the richest club in the world. I think are they richer than Man City? So they're minted. I think the only obtainable team in the Premier League, maybe, wouldn't surprise me if you throw a curveball out there and say Newcastle might have threw something at it because they've got the money.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely a part of players' minds now that they want a project, not just the money. Something that Haaland's being reported on a lot. But, I've made a massive case for Mbappe joining Liverpool and why it makes sense, with Nike. John Henry did fly him in a private jet at one point in his life. So hopefully when he was older than 16. But, Louis, is it feasible, or as Matty said, is it just, agent talk as usual?
It feels that way. I mean, if this was 2-3 years ago, as St. Paul says, we've moved on. If this was 2-3 years ago, we'd all be foaming at the mouth at this hints, this, as you said, a little hook of any sort of hope that we could maybe sign him We all thought that was the reason that we signed up with Nike and LeBron James. That was all leading towards Mbappe signing. But I think we've all kind of come to the realization that it's incredibly, incredibly unlikely. And I'm quite confident in rolling this out as just an agent trying to get some extra pounds on top of I'm sure, already lucrative contract offer.
Isn't one of his demands, Charlie, to play on the left wing wherever he does go? So that probably rules out for us anyway, because we've got Diaz, Jota, and Mane all in that position now.
I haven't saw that. I think the only demand that I've saw from him is he wants all of his image right, because he doesn't want to promote gambling, unhealthy foods, and something else. He's played the moral compass. I understand Everton have scored, but we won't go into that. Only Burnley fan TV over here. But yeah, they're the only demands. I think he plays up front for France, and he's on the right for PSG now. And
yeah.
So I don't see that. I can't see a player of his quality demanding to play on the left hand side. I think that's just a stupid move if he is doing that. But Jay, we've talked about Mohamed Salah. There's no better replacement in world football than Kylian Mbappe for Mohamed Salah, is there?
No, mate. Obviously, that's a dream to sign someone like Mbappe. If we signed him, I'd come on here bollock, because that's how confident I am it won't happen. I think if you're not going to give a player who's already achieved a lot with you that type of money, you're not going to do it for Mbappe either, like Matty's already said. It's annoying sometimes, because I remember when Real Madrid signed Ronaldo for 80 mil at the time, that was unheard of. But he made it back in shirt sales within about a month, if that. So something like Mbappe, I always think, it does make sense, because his shirt sales would be ridiculous. It'd probably pay for him, and then he is going to want to eventually move to Real Madrid. So you are going to get a resale value on him as well. So I don't believe it'll ever happen, mate. But I don't see why it can't happen, if you get me. I know it won't, but I think there is reasons that we should go for it. But it's a non-goer for me. There was a fella on Sky Sports though when Real Madrid put the bid in, saying that Liverpool did go for him, like legitimately, but how credible he was, I don't know.
I mean, a question for you all, do you break the wage structure for Mbappe if he agrees to come? And we've talked about in the past, similar with how basketball and NFL do it, where the partner of the club, like Nike or Adidas, pay a certain amount of the wages towards it. But if he is asking for 600 grand a week, would you break that? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be getting like 200-300 million back from him when he does eventually want to leave to the likes of Real Madrid.
That's the only thing that really, I don't think it'll happen. Like what Jay said, it makes you think like John Henry and FSG are very, very good businessmen, and Mbappe to me just makes so much perfect business sense. Yeah. From a terms of you opening up that French market, he's the French golden boy. He's already with Nike, so Nike may have something to play. The shirt sales in France alone, etc., 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 and he has got that resale value, so it makes perfect business sense. But I don't think Real Madrid will wait round, to be honest. I think if he doesn't go to Real Madrid now, I think he will stay at PSG and then go to Real Madrid in a few years. But if his dream's Real Madrid and they're dangling it in front of him, it begs the question as to why he's not going there. Is he asking even them for stupid amounts of money? Because he's almost 600-700 at PSG, and he's not going to go for less money. He's going to want to pay rise on that. So it's just stupid money. But it's not my money, so I'd break the wage structure to see Mbappe in a Liverpool shirt any day of the week. Any day of the week. I think if he comes, it's a statement from Liverpool to say, like, no, we're staying at the top now. And it'd be nice to see it, but I just don't think he will, as sad as it is. But from a business point of view, I can't see why we shouldn't be in the conversation, because we have got the money. FSG had minted, absolutely minted, and FSG love a player he can resell, and with Mbappe, like you said, it's guaranteed he's going to play for Real Madrid someday. So you could sell him and probably make 100-200 mil profit.
Yeah, I think a few months ago, PSG were offering €1 million a week for him to stay, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I think the fact that he hasn't accepted that sort of says something. Maybe he has got his eye on a certain project, and Real Madrid in the moment are starting to get that long-term project with the likes of Vinicius, other players who I can't name at the moment, Mbappe as well. Camavinga, yeah, and they're looking to sign, Tchouaméni. I can't wait till we're not linked with him anymore, man, so I don't have to say his name. But yeah, it's maybe it isn't money related. At the end of the day, he's going to be going for over 500k a week. So 500 grand a week, you're going to be living pretty comfortably on that. So what's the difference to $1 million a week? So
the only interesting thing would be is if they agree that Salah's not staying, I think they'd sell him this summer. So then, if you sell him for 100 million, and then that 100 million fee, would that then pay Mbappe's wages over the course of a 5
for 2 years?
Yeah. And you're getting them for free. So, and then you're selling them on for 200-300 million to Real Madrid. Then that would make a bit more sense. But I just don't think it'll happen. Sadly.
Are you listening, John?
Yeah.
Would you let Salah go though to have Mbappe for 2-3 years?
I don't know. Makes you feel like a bit traitorous, doesn't it? You know what I mean? When someone's done all that for you. A few years ago, we Suarez going and stuff like that, and we were crying about loyalty. You can't have it the other way as well, can you? Do you know what I mean? So, no, I wouldn't I wouldn't say it out loud anyway. Do you know what I mean?
My only thing with that is if Salah's still in this mindset of trying to get as much money, and I do think it's his agent that is playing a massive part of this, and I think he needs to sack his agent immediately. But I think if Salah's still in the same mind, you say to him, all right, look, we were okay before, we've made you the player you were. Thanks for the 100 million. You're going off to Barcelona or somewhere, and you bring Mbappe in, and why not? Have him for 3 years. You make, potentially we go and win everything, and the club gets astronomically bigger in them 3 years, and at the end of them 3 years we can say, look, we've won 3 Premier League titles and 3 Champions League titles in the 3 years you've been here. Why not stay a bit longer? Again, it's all hypothetical, but I think if Salah's in the same boat as he is now and you offer me that, I'd take it all day, especially if he's being stuck up about his contract still. But it's all hypotheticals as
it's mad how that hypothetical makes sense, though, innit?
I can make anything.
You know what I mean? It genuinely makes sense when you say it's all hypothetical, but there's no reason all that can't happen. To be fair, do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
John Henry masterclass incoming. Get a statue.
I do think it will be a mad summer. I think Julian Ward's going to come in and make a statement, and I think FSG want to try and get the fans back on side, etc., etc. So I do think it'll be a big summer. But like Jay said, if we get Mbappe, I probably think Balotelli with him, to be honest, because I just don't think it'll happen at all.
Yeah, I think we've discussed it before. I think we're all expecting at least one midfielder and at least one attacker in the summer. Where else do you improve the squad? Who knows? Maybe to get a backup right back, get rid of Gomez, buy someone else. There's a lot of options to do in that squad. But if Mbappe comes in, I'd take him on his own and see you later, everyone else. I don't care about any other players, but we move. But Jay, onto your favourite rumour of not really rumour, Jurgen Klopp shutting it down. Erling Haaland, Jurgen Klopp, I think he spoke to Bild. I'm just trying to find a quote. He spoke to Bild and he basically said that Erling Haaland to Liverpool is not on. So he said, we won't be going there. The numbers involved are just crazy. We'll be having nothing to do with it. No chance. To be honest, I don't want anything to do with it. It's not fun. That he hasn't said that about Mbappe. That's a positive. But we saw recently that the whole package for Erling Haaland was around 350 million euros, which includes his wage fee actually isn't that absurd, which is the crazy thing about it. But it'd be 75 million euros to Dortmund, a 20 million signing on bonus for him. But then the fun things start to happen when you're paying his dad and his agents 50 million each between them just for sitting there and saying, come and sign my player. You know, it's crazy money, isn't it, Jay? And you know, Klopp's already shut it down, but he'd be a good player for Liverpool to have, and an out-and-out striker, something we haven't seen at Liverpool for a while.
He'd be a boss signing, mate. Of course, he would. Players like that are always going to make a difference. But it's like Klopp said, paying Haaland's our fellas ex-Birds money. It's not fun at all. There's no point paying all these people at the end of the day. Haaland's only plays for you, not me and Raiola or his dad or his uncle or whoever else they're asking for money for. The only thing I find interesting is Klopp obviously knows what the numbers are. So there must have been some sort of discussion at some point. But I'm glad I can just be put to bed, mate, because I'm sick of mostly the echo coming out and going, oh, Haaland's going to come to Liverpool and blah, blah. Like, he's not. We know he's not. So let's just put it to bed now and stop deluding ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple as, isn't it, Matty? You know, Klopp sort of said that this isn't happening. We know the club don't really like to work with me and Raiola. You know, maybe after next season when the 3% agent cap comes in, but it does seem like, you know, Riola's trying to get his last millions out of a club, doesn't he, with Haaland?
Yeah, definitely. This is Riola's last big summer, so you'll probably see Pogba go on a madness with a big mad feet of Riola. He's going to set himself for life this summer, Riola. It's the worst window, I think, to buy a Riola player. But with Haaland, I can't see nothing past him playing for Manchester City because his dad did. I just can't see nothing past it. I think City haven't got a striker. They tried to get Kane. Kane hasn't been phenomenal this year, you would say. The second half of the season, he's been better. The first half, shocking. They can go and get Haaland for cheaper. For the price they're going to pay, Haaland as dad and Riola is the price they're going to pay for Harry Kane. And Haaland's got, 5 or 6 years on Harry Kane. And he's twice the player, in my opinion. I'm one of the biggest Harry Kane haters. So, but I think with Haaland, he'll probably go to City. I think he probably would have went to Real Madrid if they weren't trying to get Mbappe in the same window. But I think he's going to go to City. It makes me feel sick that he's going to probably end up at City. But the money's mad. The money's mad. But like Jay said, I do think Liverpool have asked the question because how else would Klopp know the money around it? But again, with Haaland, it's one of them. Like you've seen players like Michael Owen, for example, peaked very early on in his career. I know they're completely different players, but is Haaland in his peak now? And it's a lot of money to gamble for somebody who, I mean, he's world class. He's an absolute freak of nature, but it'd be interesting to see him in the Premier League, to be honest with you, because it's a lot faster paced than anything he's been used to before.
Louis, he's had a lot of injury issues this season. He hasn't really featured, and I know last season he did have a fair few injury issues as well. You know, he's starting to become a bit injury prone. Surely paying 350 million euros is crazy. You know, you could get Mbappe for that. As we've discussed, you can get Salah, yet they don't have the longevity, but their injury records are immaculate. They're playing at the highest level, and you know it's mental money, isn't it?
Yeah, we've seen players who come to us who didn't have particularly bad injury records, but we do play a very intense style. It's an intense training regime. So if he's doing that at Dortmund, and you know, I've watched Dortmund a few times in the Bundesliga this year, and they're not that good. There's not that much intensity to them. Obviously, that could be different now. I don't know, but it's a worrying sign. And if you spend all that money, and you know, within 3 games he's out for a few weeks, and then it turns into a bit of a navigator again, he's never going to live up to your expectations, and it's always going to be a frustrating signing. That being said, if he goes to Man City, I'm sure he'll be brilliant, never pick up an injury and score 40 goals a season. So, you know, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. Again, guys, if you are new to the stream, please do leave a like and subscribe. Helps it out a lot. But, you know, going to Man City, it does sort of look like it's that going to happen. You know, how dangerous is that going to be for the Premier League, Jay? You know, if he can't stay fit, you know, there's not many. Virgil struggled against Haaland when he played for Salzburg, and he's come on leaps and bounds since then.
It's true, mate, but there's not many better than Sergio Aguero either, and we coped then. Aguero's one of the best strikers I've ever seen, personally. I know Haaland's a great player as well, and it makes them frightening, but all their players are stupidly talented, mate. Like De Bruyne he's a freak. Joao Cancelo, freak. I really like Laporte. I know they all talk about Diaz. I think Laporte's a really good centre half. So yeah, obviously, mate, it makes them a lot stronger, but we're a lot stronger since we got Diaz in, and we don't know who we're going to sign in the summer anyway. So yeah, City will be stronger, but I expect us to be as well. So just makes the league that little bit more exciting, having more exciting players in it, really.
Yeah, I mean, going on to it, I mean, anyone can answer this, but would he improve Liverpool massively? We don't play with a recognised striker really. We've been playing with Firmino and Jota, who's now sort of becoming a striker, but we don't like it. Klopp, especially since Lewandowski hasn't really had a goal scoring striker, has he? I mean, how much would he improve this Liverpool side, Haaland?
I think he'd improve any side he goes into, to be honest. He's an absolute freak. Like, when you see videos of him in training and stuff, he's world class. And it does worry me if he goes to Manchester City. But I'd love him to come and get injured on like the second game and be out for 6 months or something like that. That'd be brilliant. But he's a freak. He'd improve any side. He really would. But one player, if you're going to go and get some mad signing this summer, why not just go and get Lewandowski on a free instead of Haaland and just go from there? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Lewandowski's a better finisher than Haaland. Yeah, he's at the end of his career, but he'd be less wages, not surely, wouldn't it?
That's a Man United signing, that Lewandowski.
Yeah.
All over.
I was just hoping the Klopp-esque would pull him back in because he's worked with him before. But I think with Haaland, I'm worried if he goes to City. I'm really worried.
I mean,
I know Lewandowski is free soon. It might not be this year, maybe next year.
Yeah, I think it is next year. But if you're talking about ex Jurgen Klopp players or like people he's been interested in, Dortmund are releasing Julian Brandt. The fabled Felipe Coutinho replacement. Looks like he's going. Who else? There's Dortmund are letting go of a few people, I think, to rebuild their entire team next summer. So might be one to look out for. But I think we can put to bed the Haaland rumours after Jurgen Klopp's quotes, especially. Thankfully for you,
Is there any
Jay.
chance he stays at Dortmund?
No
chance at
No,
all.
like you said, mate, with Riola now with the
Riola,
3%, he'll be getting everyone else in, lad.
Gravenbach's
What about even Bayern though? If they was to get rid of
no,
Lewandowski?
so they can't. I'm pretty sure there's a clause. Recently, I only saw this. There's a clause in his contract about Bayern, and if Bayern want him, you have to pay more than his release clause. Don't know how true that is, but I think they're getting.
Is because
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
their director is it Rumenegi? I can never say his name. He said he wanted Haaland, like they were interested in him, but he said we'd never be able to pay the fees involved for it because Bayern aren't one of them to throw mad money at people. That's why Gnabry's in the situation he's in now, and Sula to let him go Sula as well. So it's a proper Bayern Munich transfer, taking the best players out of the Bundesliga, but I think that one's a no-go.
I do think though his wages aren't like crazy money. I think they're 300k a week, which for a player of his stature,
that's a starting wage. Charlie's only.
I don't think Bayern pay that though. I don't think they do like 300 grand a week.
I think if the fees weren't involved with his dad and his nephew and his uncle and all that, we'd be in for him at that price.
I thought something when Joe and happened with Neymar, I thought something got brought in where like your dad's cat's friend and all that can't be getting fees.
I think his dad is part of his management team or part of his agency, like Riola's like an advisor or something. Sort of mad to get his dad, mega rich, but thankfully FIFA have introduced the 3% cap, which will be coming at some point next year or later this year, I think. So we can finally see the end of Mino Raiola and his money grabbing.
If we're going to believe random on Google, Bayern Munich, Jay's right what he's saying about Bayern Munich. Apparently Neuer is only on 104 grand a week.
They're in talks with him with a new contract now, actually. I saw that today. So I
their
think
club wage bill is meant to be 160 million euros total. and you think of some of the players they've got, like, when you're just looking through them, it's mad. I mean, Sula's one of the highest paid players on 208 grand, and then it's Lewandowski on 350. But other than that, all the players are on next to nothing really. Gnabry at the minute is on 105,000 euros apparently.
See,
I
they're
mean-
talking about letting him go, and he's been a good player. Obviously, they're not going to start paying stupid wage, and that's obviously why they're letting Sula go. If he's the second highest paid and wants a new contract, they're like, nah, behave.
Apparently,
Benzema.
Benzema's just scored a screamer.
Here he is.
Chelsea.
Everton are winning 2-1 though.
That's
I
not
know,
good.
I know, seeing that.
Okay,
Two penalties.
you know, you spoke about this, Matty, but apparently Lewandowski wants 400 or 450 grand a week. How old is he? About 40. Like, yeah, he's sick for Bayern and stuff, but you're not paying. Klopp's not paying that, no matter how much he loves him.
I don't know. You know, if he comes on, if you were getting him on a free next summer, you never know. Because when James Milner came in, he was one of our highest paid players purely.
Yeah, he was.
Free,
He's on. I think he's on 180 grand a week now, which is ridiculous, and we should not be renewing James Milner's contract. But that is another discussion for another day, because I could talk about that for about an hour. But I think 450 grand for Lewandowski. You know, what is he? 33, 32. You know,
Yeah, he's getting on. He's getting on.
Even though he is an unbelievable goal scorer, you know, he could be at the top for another year and then fall off. You know,
if there's one player I'd go and get from Bayern Munich, it's probably Sane, because he absolutely teared us every time he played against us in the Premier. I think
Oh my god, yeah,
he's fantastic. He's absolutely fine. I'd have him over Gnabry all day.
Yeah, you know, Bayern Munich have loads of players now. I'm sure Klopp would love to steal, but you know, unfortunately, John. Yeah,
Musiala, he's going to be some player then.
Oh yeah, is he playing in midfield tonight for them? Pretty sure I heard that, but they stole Goretzka from us as well. That was not fun. But yeah, you know, screw Bayern Munich at the end of the day. Hopefully they stop signing decent players. That'd be nice. Well, yeah, so lads, thank you for joining. We're gonna have, I think, a debate room tomorrow. We haven't decided yet, but it's something tomorrow. If you are new, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel for daily content. We've got loads of videos coming out the next couple of days. There's a Gakpo video by Jack with an interview from a Dutch football expert. We've got Tar and Jack's show, and Kris's boot room is back. So loads of content coming up before the Manchester City game. And Louis, you'll be doing the watch along for that?
Yeah, if I manage to keep my stomach where it's meant to be.
Yeah. So
good luck with that, lad.
I'm shitting myself.
I can imagine.
I'm dreading doing the post-match reaction to that. Hopefully we'll be happy. But yeah, so again, if you are new, subscribe, leave a like, follow everybody on Twitter, Jay, Matty, myself, and Louis, and thank you for joining, and goodbye.